The Doctor Aphra comics introduced an insane new creature to the Star Wars universe, Gundravian Hookspores. It was found on a mobile Imperial prison where we learned it was an infectious type of fungus that was able to take on properties of its hosts. The previously mentioned Imperial jail was a junkyard made up of wreckage from many kinds of ships, both new and ancient. Some 2,000 years before Aphra was even alive, a Jedi Knight became infested with Hookspores until his starfighter crashed, killing him. The Hookspores were stuck with the starfighter, which eventually became part of the jail, and for 2 millennia the fungus became more and more imprinted with not only the Jedi, but his sense of duty and his abilities in the Force. Prisoners came to think their jail was haunted by a Force-driven spirit, but Aphra discovered the source of the Hookspores. The Empire decided the best way to rid themselves of the infestation was to allow the prison and its prisoners to crash into a planet where the fungus would burn up in the atmosphere and then explode. In a desperate attempt to escape, Aphra lured bounty hunter Tam Posla and Darth Vader to the jail. She escaped, Tam was killed, and Vader destroyed the spores. However, the force energy of the Hookspores survived, and its infectious properties remained. It was able to attach itself to the floating remains of Tam Posla and bring him back to life, sort of. His own sense of justice matched well with that of the Jedi's. Together, the Hookspores and Posla continued to hunt Aphra and exact their revenge, but they were both seemingly destroyed by the droid 000 and his flamethrower. As of right now, that's all we know about this new, bizarre creature. I would be surprised if we ever saw it pop up again in anything outside of future Doctor Aphra comics, but I think their ability of taking on the properties of their host could. It reminds me of the Clone Wars episode Brain Invaders. Barriss Offee gets a Geonosian brainworm in her head, and theoretically those worms are controlled by their queen, Karina the Great. But Barriss is still able to use the Force, so the worm and, I guess, Karina have access to the Force at that point in time. I think that's something interesting to explore. When the worm dies, does Karina have a better understanding of the Force? Would that experience change her? Or what if the worm didn't die but instead transferred itself to another host? Could it somehow retain Force sensitivity? I don't know the answers, but based on what we know about Hookspores, I think it's plausible. Anyway, I just thought it would be a fun little discussion to bring up, and I think Hookspores are so weird but in a fun and cool way. I'd love to hear what you think about them in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.